I'm super curious to see where they go and what this has a story to tell. I personally am of the humble opinion that I think that aspects of Dragon Ball are better than Dragon Ball Z, which is one of those sentiments which will get some shade thrown at me. They're definitely less action, but they go more along the lines of the absurdism of Arelli and that kind of stuff that Toriyama was historically known for pre-Dragon Ball. Welcome to Twig, your weekly geekly family-friendly news show that tackles everything from Humble, tackling the loneliness epidemic, to the new Nintendo hardware not being the Switch 2, with some games in between. I am your nerd Pastor Nate. I'm really the pastor here of Checkpoint Church, a real-life church designed with nerds, geeks, and gamers in mind on the internet. If you're listening on the podcast version of our show, be sure to give us a good review. Click that like if you're ever on YouTube, or come and listen live on Twitch every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. With that, we're going to begin our show as we always do with our what have you been watching and playing and reading this weekend. And I'm going to let our new guest, our first time Twig guest, introduce themselves and tell us what they have been watching, playing, and reading. So take it away.
Thank you. My name is Joanna. Handle is JoannaTheScribbler. You can find me on Discord, usually hanging around the Checkpoint Church Discord server. Okay, so reading. I am currently breaking my way through C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. I feel like that's something I probably should have read before, but alas, it is what it is. I'm enjoying it though. And then of course our book of the month, Ministry of Time, only a couple chapters into that one, but so far it's a solid read and I'm hooked. Let's see, watching. I am a fool right now for Agatha All Along. That's another one. I am waiting for each drop, but I'm also watching Only Murders in the Building and the Frasier reboot as well. I'm just a diehard fan. I'm going to stick with it as long as they keep churning them out.
Very nice.
Let's see. Playing. I have been on a gaming hiatus a little bit, trying to get things wrapped up for my last term for school. But I have Echoes of Wisdom sitting on my TV shelf, and then also Persona 3 Reload still in the wrapper. So it's about to get unwrapped.
Very nice. I have been watching several Let's Plays. I'm back into that kind of mood. I go back and forth between these movies and these Let's Plays. And currently I have just finished Killer 7, which is I think the last Suda51 game that I had not experienced. And hoo boy. So a wild ride, as all of his games are. I also finished Mother 3, watching Barry was streaming, playing that, and that was a ton of fun. Still trying to catch up on anime, Dan, all that kind of stuff. And then I also just started another Let's Play on Octopath Traveler 2, because I think I've convinced myself I'm not going to be playing that game, so I just need to watch it. And then this afternoon, I actually took my 5-year-old, and we went to go and see The Wild Robot. And I was just bawling salty hot tears the entire time. Wow, what a movie. I loved it so much. It was such a good experience. And I put in our Discord, 0 out of 10 would not recommend watching with a 5-year-old next to you, because they are going to remind you of the fact that they will one day fly the nest. And oh boy, man, it was a brutal movie. They did not wait 15 minutes without pulling a first 10 minutes of Up gut punch. They kept doing it, and it was brutal, and it was wonderful, and it was just an experience. It is one that if you are already in a sentimental mood, probably skip it, because it's gonna be a rough watch. But if you're wanting to just love life and nature and hear a good straight up Christ narrative, they weren't hiding it at all, then you're going to experience something good in that one. It's one of those where it's I went to go see it partly because I wanted to see it with my daughter, but also because it felt ripe for a nerdy sermon, and it's got 7 packed in there. So I could write so many nerdy sermons out of it. I have been playing. I just finished Echoes of Wisdom. I'm very content with where I wrapped up there. Maybe I'll go back and do some of the completionist stuff for it, but I rolled credits. I felt content with where I was and moved on, and picked up Metaphor Refantasio, or however in the world you pronounce the worst titled game in the world. It's so good. It's really, really great. I just am already digging in deep to it. It feels like a new Persona game. Apparently it may also have some vibes of SMT or Soul Tracker or some other game, but I don't know. It feels like a Persona to to me, and I am in deep. I just reached, I think, 12 hours and exited the tutorial. So it's one of those, but it's going to be a good time. And then I've also been giving my soul to Balatro pretty much every time I'm like not with my console. I will pull out Balatro now that it's on my phone, which is way too convenient. A truly dangerous app to now have, but it is very good, and I enjoyed that one from a long time ago. And then I am reading Ministry of Time, still going through that one. I'm really enjoying it quite a bit. I like the characters. I like the story that it's telling. I do think it could use with a restructuring. I am a chapter reader, and so I want to read a chapter, but there are like episodes within chapters where it's super broken up with line breaks, and like I can give an author like 2 per chapter, but it's like in the 10 to 12 range in some of the chapters, and I'm like, that's too many episodes. Just write more chapters, because you're basically writing chapters anyway. So we will see where that one goes and how I end up enjoying it by the time all is said and done, but super liking it so far. Looking at the chat, it looks like DB has told us a little bit about what they are watching, playing, and reading. Also, please do let us know if you are in the chat what you have been getting into. DB has been watching Supernatural, not been playing much of anything, and reading Get Out of Your Head. Ashes, no time, but I was watching Ghost Stories, which is interesting to say the least. Yep, for sure. Playing Isekai Slow Life and not reading anything right now. Can't wait to start reading manga Dinosaur Sanctuary. Oh, I've never heard of that one. I'm curious now, but that sounds super neat. All right, and it looks like Leanimal Art has asked a question there in the chat about art, and you are writing, not art. Have you ever done anything art-wise? Do you consider yourself creative in that way?
No.
No.
That is a hard no. No, my children, I don't know where they got it from. They're the creators. They're painters and artists and sewing plushies, and they do all kinds of that kind of stuff. The word just arts and crafts gives me hives. So, and I have seen your art, and it's phenomenal, by the way. So, and yes, writing is art, but as far as any of the visual arts, I am afraid I am challenged in that area.
I love it. Okay, well, let's get into some of the trending headlines for tonight. So we're going to be starting with the one that hit me out of nowhere, completely out of left field last week. Nintendo's new $99 Alarmo alarm clock combines nostalgia with modern tech, featuring beloved characters with a variety of playful alarms and sleep sounds. Uses motion detection to sense your movements, allowing you to silence alarms by shifting or getting out of bed. The clock's large, colorful dial and adjustable brightness make it both functional and fun, though its complex setup might overwhelm younger users. Despite the high price tag, Alarmo offers unique Nintendo charm with customizable audio and future downloadable content, appealing to fans of the brand who are willing to splurge on a quirky bedside gadget. What initially struck you from this one, Joanna? Did you have any thoughts about it?
I think it's going to be fun. I do have some Christmas lists that it's already landed on here in our home. So I will probably be one of those people who purchases a quirky bedside gadget. But no, I think it's fun. I think if that's your kind of thing, I love all things collectible. And so if it does what it says it'll do, I think it could be a lot of fun. I was actually just thinking the other day about how, we used to have those CD alarm clocks, and we'd put on our old favorite songs and listen to, wake up to our favorite music. And it sounds like that's exactly what you'll be able to do with this. So it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm very curious about it. I'm also somebody that likes to collect the like Nintendo tchotchkes and that kind of thing. Like I'm a big fan of Pokemon wear, especially. Almost anything that the Pokemon will put out there, I will pick up, even if I use it like exactly one time for Pokemon Go or whatever. I bought the thing for Pokemon Sleep, and I don't think I ever connected it to my phone. So like I am a sucker for this, and I fall prey to this so often. Maybe I will end up getting this just for kind of the kicks and giggles, but I gotta be real. Just looking at it, it's like hardware, so fun, so interesting, so weird looking with the motion sensor stuff and the little like turn knob on top, the Nintendo like classic red, but holy smokes, that UI is atrocious. It looks so gross. I don't know what in the world that is about. I don't like I've looked at tons of different ones at this point, all of the different DLCs and the different options. I would probably lean Zelda, and like even the Zelda one, it's like this just looks bad. It looks like day one of graphic design school bad. Like it's somebody that is
Ooh.
just learning Photoshop and has figured out how to place things, but hasn't exactly figured out what looks good. So I
Mhm.
cannot possibly get this until they do a better job design wise. I just don't like it. And maybe that's just me, and maybe they're trying to do too much with it. I know they're trying to like make a lot of characters into it and different like animatics on the screen, but like the actual clock part of it, I am just not about. And I'm very picky. And so that could just be that I am particularly picky about clocks and watches. I am
Mhm.
notoriously one of the initial like reasons that I swapped from iPhone to Android. Now I just like Android better. But I was petty at first because I did not like the Apple Watch. I cannot stand that it is a square or a rectangle. I want a circle watch, doggone it. And so I dug my heels in the ground and wound up getting an Android because I knew that I wanted a circle watch. And so that's such a silly reason to switch loyalty to a brand, but alas, I did it. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm nitpicky here, but something about it just doesn't do it for me. Welcome in Wise and Lemur to the chat there. Do let us know if you have any thoughts about the Alarmo. If you'll be picking this one up, if you think that $100 is too much for an alarm clock, if you've got it on lists as well, feel free to let us know. But we're going to get into our next news story.
All right. That would be the Steam license. Steam now wants users to know that Steam now warns users that they are purchasing a license, not owning a game, in response to a California law set to take in effect in 2025. The law, AB 2426, requires digital storefronts to clearly state that customers are buying a license which could be revoked rather than unrestricted ownership of digital content. This change comes after incidents where games were deleted from players' libraries following server shutdowns, such as Ubisoft's The Crew. Steam has implemented the warning globally, ensuring transparency about the nature of digital purchases as digital media sales continue to rise.
So I could be mistaken about this, but I'm like fairly certain this is a non-story because I think this is just the situation now. Is it not? Like I feel like you don't
Yeah.
actually own anything. Even the disc that you own, like if you don't have internet connection, you probably can't access your Nintendo game. Like even your cards don't work like that anymore. I think like PS2 maybe was the cutoff. I think maybe PS3 onward is where we started to see it was all licensing. There's no longer such a thing as like owning a game short of like DRM free stuff now.
hmm Yeah, I was gonna say this is kind of a duh moment. I guess, for legal reasons, I can see why they might have to have something on the books just to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And of course, Steam is being Steam and leading in transparency. And I am all about transparency in marketing and media. But like you said, this is pretty much already been industry standard for quite a while. And so it's a dumb moment for the rest of us, but it seems like maybe some legal backtrack just to prevent them from any ramifications that might happen in the future because somebody got upset.
Yeah. And this
It's
this
closing a
makes it
loophole.
yeah, it does. It's stomping out any possible kind of situations in the future and just being ultra clear, which I think transparency is key and is needed for companies like this. And there's no reason for Steam not to acknowledge this factor.
Sure.
I do think that it'll be really curious to see what comes out of this with other companies. Like who else is now going to take this step and also clarify whether you are buying a license or whether you're buying something more serious. Like, I don't know. I'll be curious to see if we see any more fallout from this from other game companies, if it all kind of uses this as like a hinging law from California that then it will start to trickle down into other things.
Mhm.
Who could say? I certainly don't know, but I think that would make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, and we are still on it's not quite the Wild West anymore as far as
Mhm.
digital law is concerned, but we are still setting those boundaries. And so, like you said, it'll be interesting to see the precedent that it sets and where that takes us in the future.
And all the more reason to keep supporting games preservationists out there. There are tons of them, a lot of them we've talked about in the past that I can't remember the name of right now, but there are plenty that are doing the work of preserving classic media, making sure that stuff that needs to get digitized gets digitized, and also making sure that things that are only licensed are also preserved in some kind of state in whatever capacity they can be. I'm thinking of like the PlayStations that have, what is that game? Oh, I can't even remember the game now. But there was like a game that was historically removed, and so there are some PlayStations that still have it on there, and so people are able to sell those for an upcharge because of the fact that they still have the game downloaded onto the device.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that's an important thing to remember. An important thing to like keep in mind is that games preservationists are doing good work there, trying their best. Especially, I remember one particular story where the eShop was closing, and so Gerard Khalil bought like all of the eShop games for the 3DS and the Wii and the Wii U and put them over onto like a Wii U and a 3DS that was then donated to the games preservation library that I can't think of. So there are people doing that and making the effort, but it is tricky to figure out the best way to do that going forward. But I always think about that in kind of this tandem moment with licenses and then ownership and then preservation. Those things all go hand in hand for me. All right, our next story, Xbox Game Studios has a new lead. Alan Hartman, the head of Xbox Game Studios, is retiring in November 2024 after more than 30 years at Microsoft. Craig Duncan, the current head of Rare, known for Sea of Thieves and so many other things, will take over Hartman's role. Duncan aims to drive the growth of new game franchises and innovative IPs for Xbox. Hartman, who started at Microsoft in 1988, reflected on his career leading major titles like Age of Empires and Forza Motorsport, and expressed pride in the future projects of Xbox Game Studios, and including upcoming games like Fable, Avowed, and Gears of War. This was just kind of thrown in there because I think it's nice to remember the kind of passing of the torch, and I have, no real thoughts over the C-suite and like who is taking over what and doing what and what they will actually do. I always prefer to celebrate the developers, but we never hear about them. This is who we hear about, and it is interesting to acknowledge a passing of the torch in an iconic industry like Xbox.
Yeah. For the record, he had me at Fable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm ready.
Very much looking forward to that one, which I thought was this year for some reason, but I guess not.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been one of those ones that was just like coming eventually.
Yeah.
Or like coming in 2025, and we're not going to say when, probably situation. But good stuff with Xbox. Quick one there just because of the fact that I wanted to throw it in. But now we're going to get into our main topic of tonight, our main thing that I wanted to clear through. Some of you know that I have a deep love of Humble Bundle. I've always been a fan of Humble. Even whenever they were bought out by IGN, I was like, I still think they're going to stick to it. I have no problem with that kind of merger, and I hope that they would keep pushing forward. And in my Humble, they have. They have pushed forward in some wonderful ways and continued to be a wonderful resource for charities, a wonderful resource for resources in charities, and then also the latest being the Gamer's Guide to Battling Loneliness. This is a guide that offers strategies and resources for gamers struggling with feelings of isolation, even when surrounded by online communities. So partnering in with Humble Bundle, this guide is going to promote openness about mental health and encourages reaching out for support. Throughout the month of October, 5% of Humble Choice sales, which is pretty standard for their charity fundraisers, will help fund a crisis text line, a free 24/7 service, where gamers can text Humble to 741-741 for immediate assistance. The guide emphasizes the importance of checking in with others, offering text message templates to help start conversations and foster connection, and remind players they don't have to face challenges alone. I did print these out because I'm a grandma, and I thought that it would be neat to have them printed out so that I could read through them and not take up a whole screen. But these are online, and I will be posting the links at some point. Probably, honestly, you know what? Here's all I'll say to future Nate. Remember this, future Nerd Pastor Nate. Post this in the description of the YouTube video. So I'll try to also post them over on our Discord and keep these kind of dog-eared because I think they are helpful and important, but I at least want to make sure that they are in this video so that we can have those for people to talk about. Did you get a chance to look at these, Joanna? Have you looked at them or heard anything about this?
Just really quickly. I mean, it's one of those things. It's amazing. It's definitely needed, and I fully support it. I think it very much goes along with what we do here at Checkpoint. And so I'm very excited to hear that they are, one of the great names in services is taking the lead and really doing something with
Mhm.
this kind of space. And so that's very exciting.
Well, and I have to admit, whenever I started looking at the guide itself, I kind of gave a little eye roll because I was like, this is like ChatGPT 101. How can I tell people to stop being sad? And it was like, reach out to friends and family, find your people, get out there and say, hey, get a pet. And then like reasons why those things are beneficial for your mental health. And I was like, that's a bit shallow. But then they do have more. They have like levels of not only here are ways that we think you can make connection, but then, hey, maybe you're somebody like myself, like Nerd Pastor Nate speaking for me, who is a little bit uncomfortable in conversation and maybe is not good at cold calling or cold texting, somebody that is a little bit disconnected from that part of my life anyway. And that's why I'm so thankful for my wife to ground me in so many wonderful ways. But this gives like actual tangible things that somebody that would just find themselves as finding words hard to find, things to say and the reasons why you're saying them. And so some of them are a little bit like more than I might say to just somebody that I don't know on the internet. So it's like, hi, name. I know things have been tough lately and wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Remember, you're not alone and I'm here for you. That's a level above and beyond what I might be willing to do on a first text. But then there's one that's just like, hey, we just played a game. GG. How are things going for you? Like even being reminded that you are allowed to ask people, how are things going for you? Is interesting enough. Or giving yourself permission to say like, how are you holding up? How are things going? Or they did a bit of a cringe here and said you've been AFK for a while, but you could just say, hey, I noticed you haven't been around the Discord for a while. I noticed you haven't been around the space for a while. Just checking in. Are you doing okay? Like literally just having these things written out to give permission feels freeing to me personally. And so
Sure.
I think that is huge. And that's why I want to make sure that I post these links because I really do think that that is something that I want people to know about and know that they are offering. Maybe this is also how they're training their text line workers. I'm not sure. But
Mm-hmm.
even still, like this is just a good basic 101 of how to interact with other human beings. And once again, I am like pinching myself of like, we could have come up with this first. This is still the church's role. Like the church should be doing
Yeah.
more in this area. And we should be ashamed that Humble Bundle came up with it before us, but it's something we should support and consider how we can do and build up and promote in our own ways.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing saying great ideas always build off of other ideas. And so maybe this will be a springboard for other communities, businesses, churches to be able to implement similar concepts and whatever way helps reach out to people. It's a good thing.
So that was level 1, looking at the messages themselves. But then in level 2, they also go into just like a real basic list of how to ask questions to a human being. And so I can hold them up to the camera here as best as we can see them on Twitch. But again, this is online. And so it's being patient and open, asking open-ended questions, validating feelings, offering support and encouragement, be genuine and authentic, share your own experiences. And again, check in another time. This is something that they tell me in pastoral care, like being willing to drop it whenever somebody clearly doesn't want your presence right then and there. I can't tell you, like being a pastor and visiting people, how many like 1-minute visits I've had where I've knocked on their door and just been like, how are things going? And they're like, doing good, pastor. See you on Sunday. And like, that's the conversation and that's okay. And so being willing to like have a short check-in is huge. And I just thought it was really interesting and good, the resources that they provide. And so I will be sharing this and letting people know that it exists because it's just a good resource.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that is the crisis text line that they are working on. As always, if you are somebody that is dealing with loneliness, as we are, that is a recurring thing that kept coming up at my retreat last week as they were talking about phygital ministry and the ministry that blurs the lines between physical and digital, is they all really have a heart for wanting to battle the loneliness epidemic. And so I think that is something that is very heavy on the hearts of folks. I will admit, like, it has taken more of a back burner for me personally because I feel like Checkpoint is doing a lot of work in alleviating that. And I have discovered the magic of Discord to alleviate that loneliness. But nevertheless, this is still important as a like 101 guide to just quickly get the information out there. Or if you are somebody that has a friend that you really want to support that is dealing with loneliness, these are ways that are approachable, accessible, and readily available for you for free and out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. So yes, good news, good stuff. Linked down below. Be sure to check them out. Click them, download them, save them, print them out again if you're like a grandma like me, and make all that happen for you so that you can better support others out there. Good stuff. All right. Well, with that, we're going to move into our next segment and the crowd favorite segment of the show. There it goes. Cryptic Critiques. That's right. It's time for everyone's favorite game, Cryptic Critiques. This is the game show of bad reviews for beloved games. I've scoured the internet to find 3 of the funniest bad reviews I could for popular video games, and I will deliver them one at a time to our special guest of the week. Play along with us. See if you can figure it out before we get to clue number 3. However, if you are watching live, do remember not to send your guesses until our guest has gotten the chance to give their final choice at the end of the 3rd prompt. We don't want you to give it away. So what I normally recommend is type like 1, 2, and 3. Don't send the message and put like your guess at the first one, your guess at the second one, your guess at the third one. And then after Joanna has given it the old college try, you can send in your thoughts. So are you here? Are you ready? Are you emotionally prepared? How do you feel?
Oh, I never do well on these playing the at-home game, but I'm going to try. I'll give it a try.
We shall see how this goes. All right. Well, let's get into it with our 3 prompts. Our first prompt for today. Again, these are 1-star reviews for beloved games. The game's core mechanics, particularly its shooting, are enjoyable, but like many live service titles, it lacks content and variety.
I have thoughts, but
I will say this is a prompt that I wouldn't normally use. I had some trouble coming up with very, very funny prompts, and if they were funny, they didn't feel like they really like led people towards the game. So this is just like a super honest 1-star review. This is super earnest and not something that I would normally pick, which is typically tongue-in-cheek and funny. This is a genuine critique of this game. Prompt number 2 is most stable Sony PC port. Most stable Sony PC port. This is tongue-in-cheek.
okay. That one is hard. It's at least got guns, and it's a service, and that really it's such a wide spectrum of games that it could possibly be. Oh, of course there's Fortnite. That's available on everything. But they did that pretty successfully. So I'm gonna say I'm thinking either Destiny or Helldivers at this point.
All right. Destiny or Helldivers. We'll see if the 3rd prompt cinches either one of those up for you. This game has way too many bugs. Smiley face.
Okay, that's definitely Helldivers.
It is indeed Helldivers 2. You got it. Look, you said you weren't good at this game, and you absolutely nailed it. Chat's in the clap. You love to see it. Helldivers 2. Yeah, that 3rd prompt, I was like, that's the one that's going to give it away. I couldn't put that one first, but it's good. I love that little face too.
Too many bugs. Too many bugs.
And I love that that's a genuine 1-star review. There was one 1-star review that I wanted to give, but I thought it would be too inside baseball. And like, if you didn't know what the game was, it would only confuse people more. Mm-hmm. But it was, this review has been flagged for treason. And I thought that was really clever of like, they totally would. Like, they are watching your posts and they're making sure that you're not going against the cause. A good Helldiver would absolutely not post a 1-star review. So very fair.
Yes.
Very
absolutely
fair. All right, good stuff. Well, now we're going to get from Cryptic Critiques into my favorite segment of the show, which is, of course,
At This Point in History.
Oh, no.
It is time for At This Point in Nerd History. We're going to go through some of the games, TV shows, movies, things that were released on this exact day of October 15th throughout time and space. Joanna, I see you did not highlight any of these. Is that correct? Do you want to read any of these? I don't want to take any away from you.
Oh, no, not at all. Let's see. You can go ahead and start with the games. That's fine.
Awesome. I will do it. So games that released on October 15th throughout time and space. 2019 was the release of Disco Elysium, which I almost put in the news because of all of their different people from the pretty terrible studio split are releasing spiritual successors to it. 2004, Donkey Konga with the Nintendo hardware, speaking of wacky Nintendo hardware like the Alarmo, was released in Europe for the GameCube. 2003, Tak and the Power of Juju. I don't know if this game was a fever dream or if it actually existed, but I had this game and I got it on my GameCube from Santa with my TV downstairs, and I played Tak and the Power of Juju until I went to my grandparents on Christmas, and it is in there. It is in my brain. I will never forget it. 1996 on October 15th, Pocket Monsters AO, or Pocket Monsters Blue, or Pokemon Blue, was released in Japan for the Game Boy. This was the remastered version, of course, of Red and Green that they would have gotten in Japan. Whenever it came to the States, we just got Red and Blue, never got Green, but this is why this game existed. It was the perfected version of the original two games that was so beloved. So you can think of it like Crystal for Gold and Silver. 1986, Donkey Kong was released in Europe for the NES. So we've got a kind of Donkey Kong anniversary thing going on in October. All right, take it away with TV and movies.
So for television, in 1951, I Love Lucy premiered on CBS TV. That one is amazing. I Love Lucy was my absolute favorite growing up. So I admired everything she did. And then when I became a Trekkie later on in my teens and discovered her roots there as well, just made me love her even more. So
Me and my sister regularly quote Vitamin to Mejiman, that entire episode, like routinely.
Yes.
That's our favorite one. And every now and again, we'll pull out a random quote from there.
That's perfect. That's perfect. All right. And then movies, 2021, Halloween Kills. And then in 1999, Fight Club. Yeah, wow. That was such a great movie. So many memories with, I think, yeah, right around high school for me is when that movie came out. And it was so groundbreaking for what it was. And good stuff.
Yeah, I still have not read the book. It's on the 1001 list. I'm going to read it eventually, but it is one that I have continuously put off. And I understand that the book is pretty different from the movie in a lot of ways, and that some people like it a whole lot more, and that some people like other things by that author a whole lot more than they liked Fight Club. So I don't know. We'll see if I ever end up actually reading that one and giving it a try and seeing how it goes. But of course, whenever I do, I'm not allowed to talk about it. So I will not be sharing my thoughts, even a little bit, about the Fight Club book. Good stuff. So yeah, we got some great games, great TV, great movies there. Do let us know if any of that piques your interest in the chat or down in the comments later if you're watching this after the fact. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of these, or if you are excited about any of these, or if we missed any that you happen to know came out on October 15th throughout time and space. With that, we're going to get into our next segment of the show, which is, of course, upcoming releases. These are 3 things that are coming out from each of us in the next week or so, and why we are excited about them. So we will normally go back and forth if you've got 3, but it's up to you however you want to work it.
Sure. Yeah, I've got 3.
All right. Let's go ahead and start with your first one.
Okay. My first one was, so today, New World Aeternum dropped today. I cannot say that word, but the New World repackaging dropped today. And I realized it may not be, it's like the old stuff, the new stuff, all better, but I love that it's got such a great multiplayer functionality. Anything with a multiplayer. As I mentioned, my husband and I game together a lot. So this looks like a great opportunity to pick up this game and spend some time in there just questing and having a good time.
Love it. Yeah, I saw that one on there. Is this the MMO that came out 2 or 3 years ago? Is that one and the same, or am I thinking of a completely different game?
Yes. So what they did is it's the same MMO, but again, it's the original game, all the DLC plus new content as well. And so it's, especially, I haven't had a chance to play it, but I actually saw somebody streaming it about a week ago and just raving about how absolutely addicting it is. And so now with the, like I said, with the new release, perfect time to get in.
Very nice. I think we played 2 hours of this on a stream one time, and then I never opened that character again. So, I just don't get into MMOs particularly, but I am always
Mhm.
curious whenever one drops, and I feel like I would be doing any of my WoW folks a disservice if I hopped onto any other MMO other than WoW. Like if I didn't give WoW a chance, they would be like, "How dare you? How dare you?" I guess I did. I did have MapleStory. I don't know if that rings a bell for anybody, but that was my MMO
Mhm.
experience of middle school. Whenever I
Mhm.
did not even have internet, I
Mhm.
would go to the church and open up MapleStory on the church computer because that was the one place where we had it. So I logged in to that MMO on Sundays and Wednesday nights, which is not enough
Mhm.
to keep up with your MMO collection activity. But yeah, good stuff there
Sure.
from that one. My first pick for the upcoming week is something that I saw is doing pretty well, which is Super Mario Party Jamboree. Mario and friends are arriving on an enormous island resort. You guys know how Super Mario Party goes. I feel like I don't need to say too much about it, except for the fact that it is bringing in some boards from past Mario games, and all in all is having over 110 mini games that are available to play, the largest selection in a Mario Party series to date. I love the Mario Party games. I've always been more of a fan of Mario Kart, but if you can get the right group together, then I think Mario Party can be a whole lot of fun. And it's one of those games that is maddeningly unfair, and so that's always fun as well. The shifting of the stars at the end of the game, it really does make it so that anybody can win. I honestly kind of wonder if it would be a good time to introduce this to a 5-year-old. I'm like, I feel like a 5-year-old can absolutely play Mario Party, and like maybe this could be a fun game for us to play together,
Mhm.
especially since the unfairness might make it so that she wins every now and again, because she is also at that pivotal age where every loss is a devastating defeat. So
Mm.
it is hard to go against her competitiveness, where maybe Mario Party would make it so much more approachable to not just have to lose to her, but instead to be able to get her to still win even when she is
Mhm.
losing. So time will tell with that one, but I am curious about it, and I'm especially excited to see that it is doing very well on Metacritic.
Yes. Yeah, that definitely was one that I'm looking forward to as well. Reason, family friendliness, great opportunities. It's just a great game to pick up when you've got a few minutes with your family or friends or whomever and have a good time. And also, we have some Waluigi fans in our family,
Mm,
and we can always count on Mario Party to be including our favorite tall, lanky Mario character. So we're excited. We're always excited to see him in a new game.
very nice. All right, your second pick.
Second pick. Okay. So I cheated a little. This came out October 11th, but I didn't know about it. I've been in the Momosphere. Was Dragon Ball Daima. And it just dropped last week. And so they're dropping new episodes. And so I'm going to count it because I haven't seen it yet.
Absolutely.
And it's Goku, it's Chibi, and it's Akira Toriyama. So it's kind of like that little gift that we get, and so I'm very excited to see where it goes, what it seems, and again, an opportunity to connect in with my family. My husband is definitely the Dragon Ball fan over myself, but yeah, definitely good times ahead.
I'm very curious. I know that the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero that just came out, which is Budokai
Hmm.
Tenkaichi, for those of you that grew up in the PlayStation 2 era, such as myself, I spent many an hour on the Budokai Tenkaichi games, and this is releasing under the name that they released under in Japan. So Dragon Ball Sparking would
Hmm.
have been the name of the games. We got them here in the West under Budokai Tenkaichi. So this is a reboot of that series,
Hmm.
not unlike a Mortal Kombat 1 situation. I have been particularly excited about it. I've already bought it. Unfortunately, Metaphor has taken over, so I haven't had any time to play it. But I do understand that I think one of the DLCs is Daima. And so I am curious about that and curious about the fact that this seems to be something that they are willing to really open up to and give a real shot. I know it's the last thing that Toriyama really worked on and put his heart and
Hmm.
soul into, and even wrote a letter to the fans about. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll give this a shot. I'm super curious to see where they go and what this has a story to tell. I personally am of the humble opinion that I think that aspects of Dragon Ball are better than Dragon Ball Z, which is one of those sentiments which will get some shade thrown at me. They're definitely less action, but they go more along the lines of the absurdism of Arelli and that kind of stuff that Toriyama was historically known for pre-Dragon Ball. And so I always enjoy getting a look at those. We'll see if this goes that route like it looks like it is going to, but I'm excited for a new Dragon Ball experience no matter what. I have kept up with every Dragon Ball manga for as long as I have been reading, really. I started with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, and I've done all the stuff. I've watched all the GT. I'm a diehard, so I love talking about it and getting into it. I am looking forward to it as well. My second one is one that is shadow dropping. Man, they aired this at every single Game Award, like E3, summer thing, whatever Jeff Keighley was doing. They put this trailer at. Me and Sneaky Pig, every single time it would come up, we're like, hey, that looks interesting. We should talk about it. And then all of a sudden, it's just dropping this week. Like, they just stopped the ads. They stopped talking about it. They stopped caring about it. I guess it's going to be a flop, but I'm curious nonetheless to see if it isn't. It is Unknown 9 Awakening. You play as Haruna, I'm assuming a caster, born with the ability to venture into the Fold, a mysterious dimension that overlaps our own. On her quest for powerful hidden knowledge, she will learn to master her unique connection to the Fold, which allows her to channel its powers into our world. But such power does not go unnoticed. Haruna quickly becomes the target of the Ascendants, a splinter faction of a secret society known as the Liss, who want to use the Fold to alter the course of human history. That sounds very heady and fantasy-esque, almost like a novel, really. But the actual way the game looks is not unlike a Jedi Survivor kind of game. And so it kind of looks like the Force. It looks like you're manipulating the Force and that kind of stuff. And so I was super curious about it, and they kept talking about it and hyping it up at different Game Awards, and then to just drop it without any care, go figure. But hopefully it'll do well, and it'll be one that'll go onto my backlog and probably eventually come in a humble bundle, and I will play it there and see how it goes. All right. What is your third and final?
Third and final. So this is another cheat, and you've already mentioned it multiple times, but I'm going to have to go with the Metaphor Refantasio. I mean, it's a sneak a peek Persona game, and it feels like cheating, and yet I'm really excited for it. I have, like I said, I'm still going back to play Persona 3 Reload because I never did get a chance to play Persona 3, but I started with 4. And so, after that I was totally hooked. So now I found out about the release maybe a week before it happened, and I have been super excited ever since. I'm intentionally kind of keeping spoiler free on this one just because I want to experience the full thing, but I am it's definitely on my list after Persona 3 Reload.
Very good. I will say that is a good call to be spoiler free because there are a lot of them and I've already seen many of them. So it is one to definitely be aware of. I feel like I have lurked a little too long on some Instagram articles and looked at an image for a little too long and been like, I do like this game. I'm going to click like on this. And then it'll start feeding me more memes and stuff. And some of the memes are heavy spoiler content. And so if I've already gotten things spoiled for me 12 hours into the game, I can only imagine how much the end game is going to get. But I am very much excited for where it goes and excited for your experience with it. I love it so far, and I can't wait to get back to it. And I don't know when I'm going to get to play more of it. Hopefully some tomorrow, but it has been a busy week with Nora, and so haven't had a lot of time, and I am missing it. It's a good one. Yes. It's a good one. It's too long already. My third and final here is Neva, which is a moving tale of a young woman and her lifelong bond with a magnificent wolf as they embark on a thrilling adventure through a rapidly dying world. If you remember the game Gris, this is made by the same folks that made that game. It looks like Gris, Gris. It's a gorgeous game with a gorgeous soundtrack and a gorgeous theme about self-worth and depression and really awesome narrative motifs that recur throughout the game. This looks to be very much in the same vein of just absolutely gorgeous game. I'm very excited to give it a look. I have a feeling that we played Gris on stream, so I have a feeling we'll play this one on stream as well. It makes a lot of sense. It should be pretty short. I guess if it's 10 plus hours, I might reconsider because I can't honestly imagine playing Gris for longer than the time it was. I think it was a 3-hour game, and that was perfect. So time will tell with this one, but I think it's gorgeous, and I've enjoyed all of the trailers for it, and I hope that it does as good as I want it to do for this team. All right, well, with that, do let us know if you have anything that you are looking forward to that is coming out in the next week here in the chat or in the comment section over the next couple of days. I look forward to seeing what is on your list of things to be excited for. I know for me, I am just absolutely tickled with Life is Strange coming out so soon. I cannot wait for double exposure. I did not invest in the early access because I want to play it on stream, so I am not getting that before the embargo would be lifted anyway, but I am super excited to see where it goes, and that is going to be what I am going to be desperately avoiding spoilers. Wise and Lemur, I don't know when it's coming out, but Princess Diaries 3 was announced recently. I did indeed see the announcement, TikTok, I think, from Anne Hathaway there, and that was a lot of fun seeing that surprise tease. I meant to mention it to Logan, and I never did. I wonder if she found out about it somewhere. She was a big fan. There was a guy in my improv troupe in college who she, like, every time she would see him, she would be like, what do I know him from? And I was like, well, you don't know him from anything. He is like just a person at college. And there was one character, I have no real relationship with Princess Diaries, but she was like, that looks just like this character. And she said it like literally every time she saw him. So I'll have to let her know that he's making another movie at some point. May have just started watching the first one. It says Wizen. Well, let us know if you find out when and why and how it's coming out. I'm looking forward to it. Out of Sense is looking forward to Blue Lock Season 2. I am also looking forward to more Blue Lock. I enjoyed the first season. I will say, I am not super impressed with the animation, but it is what it is. I don't know why Season 2 of anime keeps getting like just seriously backpedaled. Like I remember the same thing happened with Seven Deadly Sins. I feel like we're getting such a weird like backpedaling of animation in sequel seasons, but hopefully it will still do well. It's still a good story. I enjoyed the manga up to the point that the season 2 is going to end at, so time will tell. It is a new anime season also, so we've got lots of new anime on the horizon, and I am particularly excited for pretty much all of them. I'm looking forward to giving them all some time. Typically my rule of thumb is to watch 3 episodes. So that's good stuff. Yeah, I never thought you'd be on the sports anime train. Yeah, I don't think I can give it the same love and devotion that I gave Whistle. Whistle was my like soccer anime that I grew up with, and so I always have a deep down devotion to that, but Blue Lock is a lot of fun as well. All right, well, with that, let's get into our final segment of the show, which is, of course, Meme of the Week. Yeah, that's right. It's time for our meme of the week. This week's meme comes from Nailhood and is a dinosaur comic here. If you missed this one, is a real delight. Time-traveling robot. What is it like in the future, says Dinosaur. Humans eat your descendants in the shape of you with the power they generate by burning your corpses. It's so good. It's so true. So ridiculous. It's something I've never thought of and will never not think of that way ever again. I don't know how many dino nuggets I make on a pan. They are low key in the microwave. that is parenting life 101. That is definitely a microwaved dino nugget experience that my kids get. So maybe they're just getting a low tier dad experience, but too good. A great meme. If you would like to be considered for Meme of the Week, then you should go to our Memes and Goofs channel on our Discord, !Discord in the chat to get access to that and use that channel. Typically, I pull whatever gets the most reactions from the past week and put it in at the end of Twig here. So if you would like to be considered, like I said, just go and use that. Yes, the microwave. Don't make me feel guilty, DB. They're fine. They're fine. They deal. They love them, actually. They're fine with them. And it's very quick. Here's the thing. Quick parenting moment is whenever your 2-year-old is melted in a screaming puddle on the ground, you don't have time for a 9-minute oven experience. And you certainly don't have that like plus warm up time. You got to get into the there's nothing. It's impossible. So the microwave is 30 seconds on each side and it makes a beautiful treat that they can dip into ketchup and smother anyway. So air fryer is nice, but then I got to get it down and it still takes way too long. I need that 30-second fix. So alas, it's not living the high life, but that is what we do at the Web House, I am afraid. Did you appreciate this meme, Joanna?
I did. As you know, I am a chicken tender. We have chickens, and so there are lots of dinosaur chicken comments, but I had not quite seen one taken this far. So Much appreciated.
Very, very good. Well, that is our meme. Like I said, if you would like to be considered for that, just make sure to make use of that Memes and Goofs channel. But with that, we're going to get into our close of our show. So, Joanna, you did it. You made it to the end of your first episode of Twig.
Yay!
I hope you had fun. This is a chance for a shout out if you would like to shout anybody out or anything out, or tell people where they can find you to interact with you post show.
Oh, not really. As I've mentioned before, I'm around the Discord. Hopefully going to get something going on Twitch in the near future. Otherwise, just keep going on. Yeah. That's all I got.
Very good. I love to hear it. Well, folks, this has been Twig, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show delivered live on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch each and every week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerdy news. If you watched this far, you likely enjoyed this one, so be sure to give us a 5-star on your favorite podcast app. Click that like button if you're on YouTube, and recommend the show to all of your favorite nerds. Folks, we appreciate everybody that watches, that clicks like, that interacts, that comments, that does all of those wonderful things. But we want to give an extra special shout out and a thanks to our subscribers. These are people that are giving their hard-earned dollars to support this ministry over on Twitch with a Twitch subscription. So thank you to DGC121996, Deacon Shannon LS, Mindful Marlena, The Sunny Money, Twilight 27, Sugar Haiku, Maybe 30 Bats, Trini Katrina P, I botched that one. Teeny Christina P, Coyote 42, Elias Raven, Yakeem 4752, Gobi Church, Bailey the Kid, Joanna the Scribbler, Trombone Dalek, Animal Art Nerd, Pastor Nate, Buish, Jate Live, Perspective, Wise and Lemur, Sano Calrissian, and Sneaky Pig 633. With that, is there going to be Twig next week? Yes, there should be Twig next week, as best as I can tell. I think that we will have Twig for a couple weeks yet, probably until NCMS, where I'm actually considering doing a live episode with Twig. We'll see. We'll see what happens and if that happens. But we will have some people that have been on Twig there, and so maybe we could do something fun during this time. Time will tell, because we may be too busy playing board games, low-key, just being real. With that, we're going to end this show with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there. Whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God, hate church, we still believe these 3 things to be true about you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. That's why we do what we're doing here. And then number 3, believe that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, we're going to end this show as we've said those 3 things. Until the next time that I see you, which hopefully will be over on our Discord, or maybe for lunch tomorrow, or for our stream of the Steam Next Fest games tomorrow morning. I look forward to seeing you then. Till next time, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.